Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March 3rd, 2026 work session of the Town of Ossining. Please rise and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You gonna see who's here?
Councilmember Myers,
Present.
Councilmember Fields to Will, Councilmember Manicchio,
Here.
Councilmember Wise, Supervisor Feldman.
Present. Okay. All right. Moderate income households in New York State may now qualify for monthly discounts on their utility bills through the Expanded Energy Affordable Program, EEA. Not to be confused by the HEAP program, which is for the more lower income households. To learn more, please visit nyeeap.com/program. The AARP Tax Aid Program is running free tax prep on Thursdays in the public library through April 9th. To make an appointment, please visit freetaxhelpwestchester.com or call 914-353-0305. Jazz at the Lodge returns every Thursday night. Please visit jazzathelodge.com for the schedule and details. Sustainable Westchester wants to remind everyone that the Grid Rewards program is free to join. Get paid by simply being smart with your electrical usage. Visit sustainablewestchester.org for more information. I did get my check. I'm very happy. The Bethany Arts Community is running the Emerging Artists Fellowship, where they seek to provide an encouraging community and creative home for new artists seeking to further their practice. To learn more or to apply, visit bethanyarts.org. The Ossining Matters Sip, Sing, and Support fundraiser will be held on Friday, March 6th at the Sing Sing Kill Brewery. For tickets or more information, please visit ossiningmatters.org. Westchester Theater will be presenting the Mala Waldron Quartet on Saturday, March 7th, as a part of its Music in the Box program. For more information, visit wcttheater.org. The Ossining Historic Cemetery Conservancy will be hosting Cemetery Bingo Night at the Elks Lodge on Wednesday, March 11th. That last year it was fun. Refreshments will be served, prizes will be awarded. All proceeds go to OHCC's restoration and preservation work. The New Club will be running a used fishing tackle and gear sale on Sunday, March 15th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Make sure you get there early for the best selection. The Bethany Arts Community will be continuing their Revolutionary Legacies exhibit. Explore Black history and culture through interactive and imaginative. This exhibit has been open since January 31st and is only open a few more days until March 6th. For more information, visit bethanyarts.org. T-Town's annual pancake breakfast is set to return on Saturday, March 21st. Enjoy hotcakes, maple syrup. There will also be crafts celebrating the sugar maple tree. Remember that Neighbors Link is a great source of information and a community resources for our immigrant population. Please visit their website, www.neighborslink.org. Click resources to register to attend informational webinars about knowing your rights in both English and Spanish. Find contact information for trusted professionals. As always, our Ossining Public Library has many events, including movies, crafts, meditation, tutoring, yoga, book, and more. Please see their website at ossininglibrary.org for more information. And the Loft LGBTQ+ Community Center has everything from events, resources, and presentations, all dedicated to providing support to everyone who's a part of the LGBTQ+ community, including virtual and in-person support groups for a multitude of different topics. Please check out their website at loftgaycenter.org for more information. And for more fun and interesting events being held locally, look at the weekly supervisors update on the supervisors webpage to see them. Thank you.
So first up for our work, we have a presentation from Project Mover regarding updates.
Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear and see me? Yes. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Sorry, just couldn't no. Martha, would you like me to share the presentation through my Zoom, or would you like to do it on your end?
No, you can share from your end. Fine.
Okay, just give me a second here, folks. I'll bring that right up.
And for everybody who isn't sure what Project Mover is, that is our bike share program that you see installed all throughout the town and village of Ossining and several villages.
Uh, just one moment. I apologize. My computer and Zoom don't always get along, but I appreciate the introduction, of course.
Oh, no problem.
And yes, so as Ms. Feldman said, yes, this is Project Mover. It relates to the bike share program that is currently deployed in Ossining, as well as several other programs going on here in the river towns. But before we get into that, I can start with some introductions and just walk through sort of the objectives for the presentation. So my name is Mitch LaRosa. I am a senior advisor with Mobility Development. We're one of several partners involved in Project Mover, supporting in this capacity in terms of trying to help guide the project team and its municipal partners, including yourselves, um, through the current term of our grant with the New York State Energy Research Development Authority, NYSERDA, and looking ahead to the program's operations and structure in the time beyond that grant, which we'll get into, as well as doing providing some updates on the system's performance and overall metrics from 2025. So to give some context on how we got here, the Project Movers pre-operations phase lasted from 2021 through 2023. This period was defined by the pursuit of the grant, a two-phase approach in which this was competitively awarded by NYSERDA, along with 9 other projects across the state for a total award between all 10 projects of $85 million. 7 million was awarded to this project for both the bike share as well as the community e-bike voucher program and community e-bike library program, which operate in parallel to the bike share program. Phase one for operations in the bike share launched in the village of Ossining in 2024 and have since scaled up to the town of Ossining, as well as the village of Dobbs Ferry, village of Tarrytown, village of Sleepy Hollow, and the village of Croton on Hudson in the early part of 2025. This current phase of the project runs through 2026, which is all contained and funded by the current NYSERDA grant. What we'll be discussing later on in this presentation is phase three, looking ahead to 2027 and beyond as we seek to sustain the program, its impacts, and build on the successes as we look ahead. To give a sense of what 2025 looked like from the operations, here's just some top line statistics. These are from the full system, so including utilization from all 6 municipalities. A little shy of 10,000 overall trips, about 2,400 total unique users, nearly 15,000 total miles pedaled. Average trips a little bit more than 15 minutes and about a mile and a half in distance. These are the stats that you would typically see from other systems of this size, and from the project team and the operations side as well. We feel this is a really encouraging start for the program, and we're going to look to build on this utilization and hopefully grow these numbers as we look ahead into 26 and beyond. Just an overview sort of the utilization amongst the communities here. It's a fairly balanced mix. However, I will, for candor, point out that the town of Austin's utilization is a little lower than its peers. We had a really engaged conversation with Martha and Ms. Feldman back in early January, actually, to discuss this. And I know we've communicated back to our operations team some of the insights that you all are able to provide, and they've taken that into their consideration as we certainly look to grow the town's share of this overall utilization. in terms of the intermunicipal trips and how folks travel between towns, at this point, a lot of this is still between Sleepy Hollow and Tarrytown. This project does provide an alternative funding stream to help on-street roadway improvements for different bike infrastructure projects, which I'm happy to direct anyone who is interested to learn more about that to our partners over at Nelson Nygaard, who are running that part of our project. But on the actual town of Ossining utilization specifically, we have 4 stations in the town. Between 20 to 28 e-bikes are deployed across all 4 of those stations at any given time. For reference, the bikes do move around, so folks are able to start and end their trips at different points, which means our actual total deployed units within the town do fluctuate a bit. But these bikes see daily or bi-daily attention from the operations team, and a fairly good balance amongst the
We
4
lost
stations.
your audio.
Oh.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry, for a moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Where did I cut out? I apologize.
Just redo the slide.
Okay, sure. So this is just town of Ossining specific statistics. So you've got 4 stations with about 20 to 28 e-bikes deployed at any given time. We see some pretty good balance amongst the stations. Sally Swope Park is still our most popular here. For folks' reference, you can start and end a ride at one station and end at a different station. So we do see some fluctuation with the overall number here. That's why it's a range between 20 and 28. But these bikes see daily or bi-daily attention from the operations team, and they're all remotely monitored with GPS, so they can be tracked and sort of maintained remotely with the operations team. Most of the trips stay within the town of Ossining, though we do see a fair bit that go in between the town and village, and a few up to Croton as well. Again, it is a big focus for our projects team on the operations side to find ways to increase the inter-municipality utilization for folks going between towns. At an overall system level, just to give everyone a sense, kind of on the season snapshot, we certainly see a bit of a bell curve as you would in most systems, with higher utilization coming in the warmer months. Some correlation to precipitation, which you see here as well. We've highlighted in the blue bar. And to give again a more specific town snapshot, the utilization we see here throughout the day tends to be focused on the afternoon and evenings, which could both be folks commuting home from work, but also could be sort of afternoon recreation rides as well when you factor in the weekend usage. I'll stop there, though. I know I ran through a lot. I hope my audio did hold throughout everything. Happy to answer any questions anyone from the board may have before we go on to some more of the financials and some of that 2027 look ahead.
Any questions?
I do have one quick question. You mentioned about something about there's going to be improvements made so that there can be intermunicipal bike riding. How is that going to be achieved between Ossining and Croton?
Are you so I can't speak to any specific improvements. The 2 things I would cite is that we do have the funds available for what they call bike boulevard improvements, so doing on-street improvements. And I know that our colleagues at the Nelson Nygaard team, who unfortunately could not join us tonight, are leading that charge. So it's direct funding through the NYSERDA grant to go towards the municipalities to help do any on-street improvements like sharrows, bike lanes, signage. I can't speak to the specific elements of those projects between the towns, but I know that funding is available. From the operations side, I know there's also discussion about potentially, how do you site and align stations that could induce more of that? No, I apologize. So I'll try. What was that? Sorry.
I said, that's okay. Thank you. That was enough.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
Okay. 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 I know that, our bikes got there a little bit later in the year, and I was not expecting Sally Swope to be our most used, but we do have the most residents over. This makes sense.
Yes. Yes. Typically you see density and usage to be really connected like that. Yes.
Okay. But as compared to the other municipalities, we are a sliver comparatively.
Yes.
What percent? We are a very small percentage of the usage of the program so far.
Yes. Some of the sound cut out there. I think the comment was that just relating to the lower utilization in the town compared to the other municipalities.
Yes.
Yes. That is the concern that, our project team certainly understands. And I know it's a focal point to try and increase that utilization. Unfortunately, our folks from the shared mobility team were not able to join us here tonight as well. But I really appreciated our dialogue in our January conversation, and we certainly passed along those notes and findings to them. So it is certainly a concern. I know it is a lot of it's about density and connectivity, as we discussed. But we're open to creative solutions and how we can work on that. And I know that our project team is certainly focused on trying to close that gap.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions from the board on the utilization or 2025 performance?
Nope.
Okay. So I can't see you all, unfortunately. I can only see my screen and the screen here. So I appreciate the understanding there. But looking ahead then, so as I mentioned, we're currently in this pilot phase between 24 and 26. So in this phase and in this upcoming bike share season, NYSERDA is going to cover 100% of the program operations cost. We are going to focus most of my content here tonight on the interim extension, looking ahead on how we can sustain the program through 2027 and 2028.
We're going to have to do something about your audio. You keep cutting. Wait, go back. You have to. I don't know, your audio keeps cutting out, but you're going to have to start again with that one.
Okay. I can try to take my AirPods out. Maybe that's the issue.
And we can't hear you at all.
Okay. Am I audible now?
I don't think.
Can you hear me, Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Martha. Yes. I don't
Can you
know.
hear me? I think the
Can you hear me?
microphone maybe.
Can you hear me?
I don't know if you're like using like some kind of like headphones.
So I took my headphones off. Your sound is also cutting out. It's coming through in big chunks and then compressing. So I'm not exactly sure what's coming through from my end though.
That I do not know.
Are you okay over there, Evan?
Hold on. We're trying to see if there's anything we can do on our end. We're really not
Okay.
hearing you.
Are you okay, Evan, over there?
Raise it higher. It's gonna call the, I think it's a connection issue.
I guess let's just try to keep going and see what happens.
Okay.
Are you all able to hear me now?
I can hear you
Yeah, I
now.
can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. I will reshare the presentation here. See if I can pull this back up. I apologize that your audio from the board's end is coming a little choppy on my side too. So I'm not, if it comes up again though, please let me know. I can certainly repeat a slide. But if I'm good now, sort of the overview here was just that, we covered the 2024 to 26 pilot phase, which we're currently in. NYSERDA funding will cover 100% of the operations cost for the upcoming bike share season. What I'll focus mostly on in the rest of the presentation is on this interim extension, 27 through 28, where we're looking to assemble a financial stack that will keep the program operation in place and growing. We're also mindful, though, of 2029 and beyond, looking ahead to more of a mature system with title sponsorship and potentially a larger consortium of municipalities. To give a sense, though, on the operations expenses, and from this side, we've been working with Drop Mobility and Shared Mobility, the two operating partners here, to try and understand these costs. Keep in mind, we're not talking about the upcoming bike share season 26. This is 2027 and 2028. Our projections are that the total operating cost for the system across all 6 municipalities for both years will total a little more than $800,000. Keep in mind, we're operating under the assumption of a 9-month operating season. So late March to early December with the bikes out. Our cost split at this rate is approximately what you see here. Most of that is towards staffing. I'm happy to talk about this in more detail, though. I know our audio is a little tenuous here. To give a sense, though, of how we want to get this funded and operating, as I mentioned, we're currently in this pilot phase, so 100% of those costs are fronted by NYSERDA. We're looking at that middle bar here for this upcoming extension. We're going to be able to roll over remaining NYSERDA funds through some cost savings that we have been able to achieve in the first contract to bring that over to bring down the overall operations cost burden for the program in this 27-28 extension. And then we're going to look to the municipalities collectively, as well as to the operator to take on some both financial and risk share to keep this going. In this case, the operator's risk would be predicated on them, drop mobility and shared mobility, being able to retain the collective user revenue from the system, potential program level sponsorship if it's achieved, while still providing the municipalities individually the opportunity to have their stations sponsored by a local business or partners so that it could offset their costs. The 2-year extension is something that we as a project team came to a vision on based on a few different factors. One is that it potentially allows us to maximize those NYSERDA costs, rather NYSERDA remaining funds, and spread them out over 2 operating years. It also gives.
You again. We lost you again, sorry.
Okay.
Maybe try turning off your video and it will give you
Sure.
more
Yeah.
bandwidth for your audio.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Okay. Am I still audible now?
Yes.
Okay, let's hope that helps. So as I mentioned, and I hope it all came through, but yes,
So go back to that.
go back
That's
to
column,
this.
please.
I'm
No.
the first column you mentioned.
The
Sorry.
last thing we heard was that there were 2 factors and you were starting on first factor and then we lost you.
Okay. So 2 factors on the 2-year extension. One is that it allows us to maximize the remaining NYSERDA funds and spread those out across 2 operating seasons. And secondly, it provides stability for the operator, drop and shared mobility, to be able to invest in and grow the system. This is a practice that we have modeled after a bike share system in Western Massachusetts in the Pioneer Valley. It also operates under a sort of a multi-jurisdictional consortium. But I also want to note here that we're looking at that 2029 and beyond, in which we could be able to find either other villages or a larger sponsor to come in and help offset those costs as well. 2 years as the last note on this also will provide more runway for this program to establish itself, grow its utilization, and build identity and recognition for potential additional sponsors or partners to come on board and support that as well. And that runway is very critical for a bike share system in its nascent phases. So what we've developed in order to support that is a 2-tier municipal support structure that would see the municipalities who participate in this program invest in the program to cover its operations costs. Because this is 2 years in advance, we can't project at this point the exact split on docking points or other bikes or other deployment assets. And we only have 1 year of operating understanding to work with. But what we've come to a conclusion on is that there is some base operating costs for all municipalities to participate because staffing does have to be dedicated to all of those geographies. But we also recognize that the utilization at this stage is not equal amongst all the communities. And so our project team has done what it can to find a middle ground on that. And we've developed this 2-tier structure in which the larger, more utilized municipalities would see a $40,000 annual investment in the system to cover operating expenses, and the town and Dobbs Ferry, the 2 smaller nodes, only half of that at $20,000. This essentially puts the collective municipal support at a little less than 50%, with the remaining NYSERDA funds and that risk the operator is going to take covering the other approximately 50% of the costs. I hope all of that came through, and I'm happy to pause here for questions or other comments and discussion.
Yeah, I don't feel like our share is $3,000 at this point. Maybe we'll build one day, but that's not happening. But we can look at how it builds over the next, and I'm guessing that your winter program pilot isn't working out so good this year.
I apologize, Ms. Feldman. Part of your audio cut out there. I didn't quite hear what you had said.
Okay. All right. I do not feel that $20,000 is a fair representation of the portion of usage that the town of Ossining has at the juncture. But we can revisit that at the end of 2026.
Okay, that came through. Yes, I understand your position, supervisor, and it does make sense. I know we're happy to help move this conversation along or provide other information, but I recognize that your share of the utilization and the share of the costs here are not exactly on an equilibrium. So I think that's a discussion we'd like to keep open with the town. We certainly would love to keep the town involved in this project. I would say that if we have to, from a fundamental standpoint on the project team, we need to have some contribution from all municipalities in some way. But we understand where you're coming from here, and I can communicate that back to the project team, and we can certainly discuss how we can make adjustments, if any, to either bring that cost in line or find ways to find an amiable solution to that. But certainly understand where you're coming from.
Okay. And then my other, how is your winter pilot program going?
In Sleepy Hollow,
Mhm.
it seems to be going modestly well. I don't have the most up-to-date stats as I'm not on the operations side. I know that the recent snowstorm certainly slowed operations down a bit, but that is an active discussion going on within the project team. Certainly, there's benefits of trying to keep the bikes out for longer so that we can sort of keep more consistent usage. But of course, snow and winter conditions do provide a challenge, especially in a nasty winter like this. So. More to come. I know we have our monthly module meetings with all of the staffs, which will certainly provide updates on there. And but that's a really good question. It's something we're still considering within all of this, and we hope that by the end of the season we have a better understanding of how that's worked.
Okay. Does my board have any questions? Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And I
Hold
apologize.
on.
There was one other slide
One
here.
question.
Oh, question? Sorry.
Hold on.
Okay.
Cut out. Is there a reason why? I mean, I understand your point that there's some fixed costs just from operating the program regardless of usage, but is there a reason why there's only two tiers as opposed to like more percentage based upon the usage?
It's a good question. Our project team had gone back and forth on this. The There's two difficult factors here. One is that we don't have a strong enough sense of what that utilization share will look like in 2 and 3 years down the line, respectively, we felt that utilizing that based on the 2025 numbers would not be necessarily fair to looking ahead because it could significantly shift as we go on. So with that, and again, in dialogue with the operating partners at Shared Mobility and Drop Mobility, they stress to us that there is a base cost to doing these operations in each town and that should be reflected in some way. But again, I understand in respect to this board's position is go that it should be a little bit more tied to that, and we can certainly communicate that back. We ultimately discussed almost a dozen different ways to split the costs, and ended up finding that the two-tiered system here was the most reflective of, again, the base costs that are a little bit more spread out evenly between all six, and the fact that utilization is not equal between all of them. So it is an imperfect measure, but it's what our team felt was the closest we could get to projecting actual cost against each town.
Okay.
And I just wanted to add this last slide in here before I
All
wrap
right. And the last slide?
up. Yeah, sorry, Supervisor. I just wanted to add in here just a few things that, this is a $20,000 potential investment that would help sustain this overall $7 million investment from NYSERDA. Our goal is to keep as many of the municipalities in the program as possible in order to stabilize these costs. We also are actively engaging Irvington, having assessment conversations with Hastings on Hudson, and have been evaluating Briarcliff Manor as well, based on our last conversations with town staff, to see either where we could expand to or bring in additional partners to help bring down the costs for each of the continuing municipalities. Our goal is to have an operator agreement in place before the end of Q3 of this year. We understand your budget cycle begins on the calendar year, so we'd like to find a touch point in order to keep this dialogue going with you and your board about this. We are also actively engaged with NYSERDA about the no-cost extension that will allow the rollover of those grant funds into 27 and 28. So just wanted to provide those updates in that context as well. I will. Yes, understood. Um, I'll stop sharing now and come back on video. Hopefully that has reduced the sound issues. But thank you all for bearing with me. Happy to answer any more questions or comments though while I'm still here.
I just had one question. Is there like a deadline by which we need, or is it still kind of up in the air?
The audio cut out. I heard a deadline for, though I didn't hear what.
Like a deadline to say whether or not we want to continue in the program or not.
We have not established a red line for that yet, though we would like to keep this dialogue active. And like I mentioned earlier, I'll certainly relay the comments and the feedback from the board back to our project team. So you'll can expect to hear follow up from us shortly. Really, the deadline for an agreement is as set by the operator is the end of Q3. So I suppose the latest date we would need to know is prior to
Okay,
that,
yeah.
because that compact will include all the communities that would continue for that extension.
Okay, we'll continue the conversation.
All right. Thank you, Supervisor. Thank you, Board. And if there's
thank
anything
you,
else in the
Ronnie, for
meantime,
taking the time to join us tonight.
of course. Have a nice evening.
You too. Okay.
Next, we have a discussion about the Highlands Conservation Act resolution.
So, all right, we don't have anything here, but okay. So basically, this is a thank you. There we go. All right. It is a consortium of communities getting together it's a land trust. And the basic reason to join it, it gives you access to acquire lands to put into conservation. So the Highlands Conservation Act grant program provides funding to states and municipalities for protection of water, habitat, agricultural resources. Your town is not currently included, which is, we know that. It spans 3.4 million acres across Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. And the Highlands Conservation Act was passed in 2004, funding the Conservation Act grant program to protect clean drinking water, healthy forests, thriving wildlife populations, productive agriculture, and recreational opportunities. Since then, it brought in over $80 million in conservation funding to the group, resulting in the permanent protection of over 16,000 acres. Grant program is administered by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. And they're expanding who's eligible for funding, but before reauthorizing any state agency like New York State Parks, the DEC, now municipalities are also eligible recipients and expanded the areas that are eligible. We are in the areas that are eligible. And if we be included in this grant funding possibility, we need the town board to pass a resolution stating its willingness and intent to be added to the a sample resolution they gave us. And that is all we have to do is say that we would like to be a part of this conservation district. So in my mind, there is no downside to this. We are always looking for opportunities to protect our water, protect our wildlife, and, conservation opportunities. So, the board has been distributed a sample of the agenda for next week.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Does it look challenging, the resolution? No.
No, the resolution is
sent
pretty
it.
straightforward.
Yeah, just thoughts on it.
I believe this was referred to you by the Westchester Land Trust, right? As
Yeah.
a potential opportunity. And I also just wanted to clarify, and it may be that I'm just not familiar with it from the information that we were provided. I think it's a consortium per se in that we have to work with
Okay.
other municipalities. It's that like the supervisor was saying, if the town is included in this region or district that the federal government has identified, then if the town wanted to acquire certain land for the purposes of preservation, you would be eligible to apply to the, I believe it's U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service that administers it in for what we think of
A group of
traditionally as a
working, yeah.
consortium where we're kind of like Project Move, right? We're not like lumped together with other municipalities, act in conjunction with them. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
And it's a one-time resolution. We don't have to do it every year.
But that's not to say we'll automatically be put in it from the question and answer portion. The government will kind of look at the different municipalities that have requested to be added periodically. So there's no deadline. There's also no guarantee of if and when that may come to fruition. But all that was really recommended to the town, and again, without seeing a potential, you pass the resolution on, and maybe one day, you'll be put in the district and then be eligible for grant fund. The opportunity for land preservation arise.
Yep. Good.
Okay, thank you, Kristen. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, and with that, I think that's everything we're going to be talking about tonight. So thank you for joining us on what hopefully last cold, snowy, icy evening of the year. And warmer weather is coming. So in next week at Tuesday at the Bertolfian Court Facility. And we'll see you. Thank you. Oh, we're gonna go to executive session for personnel and pending litigation.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.